I cannot wait for you to hear this incredible conversation I had with my friend Beth Marshall. She's an author, speaker, trainer. Wow, just what an incredible wealth of information and knowledge that she shares around wrestling with and navigating difficult times in our life. Great conversation for parents, grandparents, families. Here's my friend Beth. Welcome to the Family Table. I'm Matthew Eford. Join me as I speak with parents, caregivers, and family experts about the joys and challenges of family life. We'll share the stories, advice, and insights that will help you build a loving and resilient family. Pull up a chair and join us at the Family Table. Welcome, everybody, to the Pillars of Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Eford, and I'm so excited to have my friend here with me, Beth Marshall. Beth, we got connected through a mutual friend and have just really enjoyed getting connected and sharing. She's an author, a speaker, an incredible resource, and I'm so excited to have you, Beth, here to talk about a difficult subject, right? That a lot of people try to avoid grief. And
For sure. Neither of us was ever trying to be a grief expert, were we?
No, we definitely were not. So for those who may not know you, Beth, if you're come on, welcome to the show. If you're come on, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey.
Absolutely. Well, I live in Flat Rock, North Carolina, with my beloved husband, Paul. We've been married almost 45 years this summer.
Congratulations.
And I know I know I look way too young for that.
That's right. You got married. You got married at 5, at 10. What was
I was 5. Exactly
okay.
right. Correct. You're a wise man. Thank you. And we have 3 grown kids and 5 next generation superheroes, grandchildren.
Wow.
Which, if I had known how cool they were, Matthew, we would have totally had them first. But we didn't know. And so I've been writing and kind of trying to help other people through grief for about 25 years almost, ever since losing my mom and feeling completely helpless. And I think that's what set me on this path to there's got to be a better way. And I know there are a lot of people that understand what that feels like.
Sure. So take us back, if you don't mind. You said you've been writing on this for 25 years.
Yeah.
So take us back to where that came about. So your mom, you said you lost your mom. What was that like? How did that happen?
Okay.
Give us the story.
We called her Beezy, and she was just this bundle of fun. Beezy had been remarried. She did not want to remarry. She didn't want anything to do with men except to start her weed eater and to put the leaf in the dining room table. That was it. She was kind of not looking for anybody to marry. And this sweet fella came along, Herb. We called him Herb the Love Bug. Anyway, he started asking her on dates. She got married, and it was the sweetest time I can remember of her life. He made her feel like a complete princess. They just had the most fun. And about 9 months later, we get this shocking call about 10 o'clock at night that she was gone and that she had passed suddenly. Mom had always been extremely allergic to bees and things. And when her beloved 9-month marriage, her beloved husband was calling all of us trying to find out the allergist number. So we're not exactly sure what bit her, what stung her, but she had the kind of reaction where you didn't have much time. Wow. Every time she'd be stung, it would be quicker and more.
It get worse. Yeah.
And so we believe that's what happened that led to a heart attack. And it was sudden. And that call that night, I did not have a lot of experience with losing people. So it was brand new. And the weeks that followed just were so filled with kindness from our church and friends and flowers and meals. And it was just almost like anesthesia poured over us. Wow. I thought, well, okay, this can't be that terrible. What's the big deal? Which anyone who's lost someone close knows how silly that is to think. But for about a split second, I thought maybe it won't be this hard. But that was about the point where things got really, really quiet.
Yeah.
And all the brevity, the reality of what had happened just washed over me like a big old huge wave.
Wow.
And I can remember just kind of trying to figure out, what do you do with this?
Sure.
Going to the bookstore.
Okay. Go into the bookstore.
Okay, and do you remember bookstores where
I
the kind
do.
that you
Yeah,
walk
yeah.
inside?
Barnes and Noble. Yeah, I got you.
Love them, love them. Looking for a book, a grief for dummies, something, just show me a few steps. I want to go through this, and in 2 weeks, I'll be ready to bail out on the other side.
Sure.
And as anyone else knows, that's not kind of how it works. There wasn't really a good resource available at all. There were some
Okay.
classic C.S. Lewis things that were good, but as far as anything super relevant to me, it just seemed like a big void.
Sure.
And so I eventually just started doing what I had always done and just scribbling in my journal and
Okay.
just writing things down. My first instinct was to not let anybody know, just pretend like I was fine, curl up in a chair when the kids would leave for school and when Paul would go to work, and then try to put on a happy face when they got back.
Sure.
And what I
So
realized,
Beth, let me interject
yeah,
just real quick,
sure,
just for everybody's context. So when your mom passed, what
yeah,
ages were your kids at? Because they were home. What ages were your kids at
yeah.
home?
Okay, they were the youngest. They were young teenagers. Amy was 11, Caroline was 13, and Michael was 14.
Okay. So
And so, yeah,
you have young teenagers at home,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I just trying to set the scene for the
yeah,
folks that are listening to this to say you're a mom with
yeah,
young teenagers at home,
right,
extremely emotional time in
yeah,
their life and in your life and in your own life. And then you enter into this season of grief, a very sudden passing of your dear
yeah,
mom,
yeah,
and you're trying to put on a brave face, right? As
yeah.
moms do. They're just incredibly loving. They mirror God's love in that way, in a beautiful way, in the way that they love and serve and give of themselves to others. And it sounds exactly like what you're doing.
Right.
But then you're realizing, like, okay, this is not really working, because they leave, as you said, your husband leaves for
Mhm.
work. You kind of curl up. Take us back to that point.
That was it. I had a grief. I called it a uniform. It was some old UGA sweatpants
Okay,
that
go
were so
dogs.
old and yep, go dogs, so hideous that you would never even wear them to the car wash. It was those,
Okay, okay,
ratty t-shirt, whatever was soft and cozy. That's all I wanted
yeah,
to be.
yeah,
And would just curl up and would just cry and didn't know really. I wanted some steps through this.
sure,
And the way I was handling it, it wasn't until one day our youngest came home from school and she said, "Hey, mom, can you take us to Wilson's?" And if anybody lives in a town with a Wilson's, I think Greenville, South Carolina has one. A few towns have them. It's
okay,
the old 5 and 10 store that has
yeah,
everything in the entire
okay,
planet.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
A ghost costume and Drano and
okay,
everything in between,
yeah, a
right?
little bit of everything. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So Wilson's was just always fun, and the answer was pretty much gonna always be yes. And so she said came home after school and said, "Mom, can you take me to Wilson's? I need some stuff for a project." And I said, "Well, no, sweetie, I just am not feeling too great today," and just gave her some lame, pitiful excuse. And she looked at me, this precious girl, and she said, "Mama, you need to go get a shower, put on
Oh,
some makeup, and put on something cute. You don't look pretty anymore. Just because Beezy's not your mom anymore doesn't mean that you don't have to be our mom."
wow. Okay, let's
Matthew?
go. Wow,
Okay, right?
wow.
And of course, she immediately started sobbing and crying, and she realized that was not the kindest thing to say. But, I needed it.
Sure.
And I know you guys saw you still had
Yeah,
Walker.
yeah.
We still have to do the dishes. We still have to drive carpools. We still have to keep putting one foot in front of another. But she was absolutely right. And that day was a bit of a wake up call for me
So
that
how
I
how
needed to,
how far
yeah,
removed is that
okay.
from your mom
That was,
passed and that
yeah,
conversation?
I'm thinking it was about 4 months in.
Okay.
It wasn't
Okay.
too far down the road.
Okay.
But it was something I really needed to hear. Also, that I wasn't fooling anybody.
Yeah.
I thought, man, I have pulled off a good one. Nobody knows how hard this is and how terrible I'm doing. But what it does is, what I did was the next morning when I woke up, I just asked the Lord, I said, help me. I don't know what to do here. And I got this nudge from him saying, why don't you write about your mom?
Wow.
And Matthew, it was the sweetest and kindest thing that he could have said. He didn't say, oh, you terrible person, you should do better. Your faith should be stronger.
Sure.
You should pray more. You should be able to power through this. None of that. He said, how about you write about your mom? And that day felt like a bit of a turning point in that I just started writing. I was trying to get my mind to go back as far as I could remember.
Okay.
And being 5 years old and standing on the jungle gym and singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow as loud as I could. And mom back at the house just starting to clap. I went,
Uh-huh.
oh no, somebody heard me. Those memories and the funny parts, we grew up, there were 5 kids in our family, so it was loud and it was chaos most of the time. But remembering those stories and the joy of our household, and in college, our roommates and friends always wanted to come to our house
Oh,
from
cool.
Athens
Yeah.
or from
Yeah.
wherever
Cool.
they were. That was the place you wanted to be. And so in that spiral notebook, all of those stories, I just said, Lord, help me remember things that I've forgotten. And it was amazing because he really did.
Wow.
And so just started to write. And I don't think I moved a muscle for about 2 hours. And at the end of that, I think my legs were both asleep, but I can remember starting to giggle again
Okay.
and to
Okay.
laugh a little bit. And it was kind of the first time of genuine laughter and thinking, okay, I think there's something to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep doing this. And the Lord just revealed not just a bunch of scriptures that I had known, but they were never all that. They didn't have to come to life until this season. And just writing those stories was making me realize I was not going to forget about her.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the greatest lessons
I
for
love
me.
that. So your daughter has this incredibly insightful conversation with you. Maybe
Yeah.
not as much tact as maybe could have been shared, but it was in the moment when it was needed, right?
Yes.
Incredible opportunity for you to be loved by your daughter, and
Right.
kudos to her.
Yeah.
Did you take her to Wilson's that day?
I think I did. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
I
let's go,
did.
Beth. Let's go.
Got a shower and put on some makeup and put on something cute, Mom. But yes, I
And then
absolutely
and then
did. And so,
and then
yeah.
how long after that day did you start writing? What was
Okay.
it? Was it very soon after that moment,
Yeah.
or was it weeks, months, or years afterwards?
It was about 1 year later
Okay.
when 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And I can remember you were probably a very young person then when that happened. I remember very clearly the faces, the people
Yeah.
wandering around Ground Zero
Yeah.
with absolutely no hope. And even 1 year out after my mom, I knew there was hope. I knew there was hope. I could see in my life the healing that had already taken place.
Sure.
And so, and it was during that time I thought, what if I could put together something that I could maybe somehow get to New York, but could help people realize that people that don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to turn, maybe you're not even part of a church,
Wow.
and just broke it down into short prompts,
Okay.
telling people, write the funniest story you can remember.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
just giving practical steps of things to do. And at the bottom of each page, I would just put a scripture that had been helpful to me. In particular, the main one that's been the thread throughout most everything that I've written has been Psalm 34:18.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people know that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, but that he will rescue us when our spirits are crushed.
Yeah.
And that was the part, if nothing else, I wanted to communicate that you're not hopeless, you're not alone, and that God's word was true and still is true and has power.
I
And I
love
think
that.
that was the main goal, the main thing I wanted to do was putting together this book. At the moment, it was called A Time to Cry, A Time to Heal.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned to you prior that I was able to take some of these books up to New York, and it was in November, right after September
Wow.
11th.
Wow.
Yep, and it was still, you could still smell the smoke. It was just so horrible to go there, but there were all these makeshift memorials that people had put together all over the city. One in particular for firefighters that was at, let's see, St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know what to do here. This was in the days where email was new. I thought, well, I'll just put a couple of these books there, and I'll put the post office box of my husband's business.
I love
So
that.
if anybody wanted to reach out to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
this was
They're
the
not just
days.
showing up at your home. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. The days where people were sending anthrax
Yeah.
to the
I remember.
Pentagon
Yeah.
and to the
Yeah.
White House in places. So it was kind of a creepy time to get mail in anywhere. So anyway, I left one copy. Long story short, a woman picked up that copy, wrote down the contact info, and she got in touch with me. And she asked if she could get some of these books for her grief support group.
Wow.
And I said, absolutely. And she said, I said, did you lose someone in 9/11? And she said, no, actually, I lost my son to a drunk driver.
Wow.
And I feel like the Lord has healed me to such a point that I want to help other people.
Yeah.
And boy,
Cool.
can I relate to that? And I know you can because you're
Amen.
already.
Yeah.
But over the course of a few months, we had phone conversations and we became friends. And I said, well, would you just pray for something with me? That there's a way to get some of these books into Washington, because we don't have the first connection. We don't know
Sure.
anybody
Sure.
there. And she says to me, as casual as you and I are speaking right now, she says, well, we've got this friend that works down there at the Pentagon, and he's an Army chaplain. And I went, well, of course he is.
Of course he is. Okay,
Everybody
God.
has.
Okay. Of course it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see you, God. Anyway, through the course of her connection, we were able to get 200 of these little books
Wow.
into the Pentagon, into the Army chaplain's office. And I thought, that might be the end of this. Maybe they'll put them in the trash. I didn't know what would happen. And 2 weeks later, I get an email from an Army chaplain saying, thank you, thank you. They'd gone through every single book. He said, there is such a palpable feeling of grief still in this building, in the Pentagon. There's still a huge hole in the roof.
Sure.
At that
Yeah.
point there
Yeah.
was. And we've lost coworkers, and this has been just horrific. Is there a way for us to get more of these books? And
Wow.
I think the thing that blew me away, Matthew, being a complete, I was a junior varsity griever. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew what had worked for me,
Sure.
and how the Lord had shown up in those moments, in the grief uniform and those horrible sweats and the whole thing, but he had shown up through his word. And I knew that he would do that for other people.
I
And that
love that.
began the whole writing of getting that book actually published.
Okay.
And then writing another one called Grief Survivor,
Okay.
which has been, a lot of corporations have used it.
Okay.
Some organ donation people, when somebody gets that horrific call and they end up having to decide about donating organs
Yeah.
to someone. Grief Survivor is given to many families in North Carolina who have experienced that horrible tragedy.
Wow.
But then about 3 years ago, I got a notion to write another book that was more just full of stories.
Okay.
Easy to read and short nuggets, but stories of people who, yes, have been through really hard things, but who have come out on the other side and are really thriving and loving their life again.
Sure.
And that was how Uncrushed was born. The original title is Uncrushed: Real Steps for Healing Your Grief and Restoring Your Joy.
Okay.
And it was published by a traditional publisher in 2023. And it's been so fun just to see the different directions that the Lord is taking it, and how it's opened some doors to meet awesome people like you, and how I got inspired. And you and I have a little bit of this in common. We both were able to be in conferences or situations where Bob Goff was the speaker.
Yeah.
And it was at a writers' conference out in California, that he leads along with Kimberly Stewart. And there was free time
Okay.
during the day in this beautiful Southern California location. And he says, if anybody wants to share a manuscript or anybody with me, I'll be sitting under these oak trees. And
I
I said,
love it.
Lord, give me my 20 seconds of
Okay.
courage
Yeah.
to go approach this person and show him my manuscript and see if he dies laughing and says, go away. Or if he says something else and he looked through it, he said, okay, okay. He said, Beth, the world needs your words. And you know what, Matthew, and you've probably heard something similar from him, because I know that you wrote a book and I know he endorsed yours
Yeah.
beautifully, endorsed it. But it was those words that made me realize, okay, I don't think we're given these stories to just waste them
Yeah.
or to feel sad our entire lives. I think if there's a way that we can turn that sadness around and really help somebody else who feels like there's not any hope, sign me up.
Yeah,
I'm
Beth,
there for it.
I love your story so much, and we connected so quickly on it. Right,
Yeah.
the Bob has meant a lot to me in my life, in his books and
Yeah.
his articles, and I followed him and had the opportunity to meet him in Athens years and years ago,
Mhm.
and we connected, and when I was publishing the book, we reconnected, and he was just unbelievably generous with his time, and I don't know how he does it. I genuinely don't know. But he said something similar. It was like, okay, your story matters, and this
Yeah.
story needs to be shared.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what I love, the perspective that you've done, that I've tried to do, that so many have tried to do, is to say like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I
Right.
know that you're good,
Yeah.
and I know that you carried me through this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to open up, as hard as that is, right? Because it is hard. It is hard to
Yeah.
stand there and say, writing a book is a very vulnerable thing, right?
Yeah.
To say like, no, this is my thoughts
Yeah.
forever, and it's
Yeah.
there, and it's a lot. But
Mhm.
what's amazing, Beth, is it's the opportunity for you as part of your testimony to say like, yeah, I had this horrific experience
Yeah.
in the very sudden passing of my mom. That there are all the things that I wanted to say to her that I didn't get to say to her, that I should have said to her, that all of the things that you play in the back of your mind. But you know that one of the things that's universal in life outside of taxes is death, right?
Yeah. It
That's the
is.
old joke. The only two things is guaranteed in life is death and taxes. But
Unfortunately, yes.
unfortunately, but
Right.
loss is a universal thing.
Yeah.
It covers all languages. It covers all age ranges. It covers both genders. Like it covers everyone.
That's right.
And what you've done, and what I've tried to do, and what so many others are trying to do, is to say, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I know the one who does, number one.
Yeah.
But number
Exactly.
two, I can tell you my story.
Yeah.
And for
That's
those who are listening, just to challenge everyone who's listening, no one can discount your story
right.
because it's yours. You
Mhm.
walked it. You're not telling somebody else's story. Like this is the journey that I walked. This is the
Mm.
thing that helped me. If it can help you, that's amazing. And if it can't, I understand. But
Yeah.
at least it helped me. And so I love the
Mhm.
way that you are sharing your story. And then your last book, you're not just sharing your story. Now it's okay, let's go out and find additional stories that you have in this incredible platform that God has blessed you with. And now you're bringing along other stories to say like, okay, maybe my story didn't hit you the right way, but here's all of these others incredible stories of how God has redeemed these people, their journey, their experience. So when you look at a family that is walking through grief,
Mm.
everyone experiences loss, and
Yeah.
loss is loss no matter what form it comes in, right?
That's
We
right.
navigate those things. What's some advice that you wish that younger Beth would have had? So
Oh man, there's
before you get that
yeah.
phone call, that late night phone
Yeah.
call that your mom has passed,
Yeah.
what are it can be as much as you want to share, or just a thing or two.
Yeah.
That what is the conversation you wish you could have had with yourself to prepare yourself for that?
Boy, there's so many things I wish I had done differently, but, I not fortunately, but unfortunately, I've had other reps through grief, losing my dad about 3 years later, and then my beloved brother, Mike, just 1 year ago,
Wow.
and so, what I've seen is that what I wish I had known is don't try this by yourself.
Yeah. Amen.
Let people know, let people pray for you. It wasn't until me cracking up at a Bible study on the 1-year anniversary of losing one of my beloved people And a pastor looked at me, he said, "You're not doing that great, are you?" I said, "No, I'm really not." He said, "We had no idea.
Yeah.
And can we pray for you?"
Yeah.
And his prayer, he prayed that the Lord would just would lift some of this pain from my heart. And I'll say he did. I think just knowing that I wasn't walking by myself
I love
or
that.
trying to put on a brave face,
Yeah.
and knowing who those safe people are, that you can, I mean, one safe people's a dear friend. Safe people, did I just say that? Safe person is a dear friend in South Carolina. We're in North Carolina.
Okay.
And she kept asking, "Can I come see you?" Well, I said, "I'm not ready. I can't. I can't. I'm not ready." And I mean, for months after losing my brother Mike. And so I think realizing it's okay to be by yourself some. We
Yeah.
need that time, but to let people in. Let people in. And when people want to bring meals and do things, say yes.
Amen.
Um, I mean, you know who your inner circle is, and I think you had to kind of draw some, I know y'all had to, some boundaries around that. If you could just leave something on the front porch or
Sure.
whatever. But just to be real honest, or like to have a point person, like you teach in your book, which is so brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you.
When you're not up to telling the story over and over and over and over, and you can't, you don't have, you're just barely trying to put on your shoes. And to utilize a person who's one step away from you that can keep people informed. I wish that I had done that. I wish someone had told me that you're going to make it through this.
Yeah.
You're stronger than you think you are,
Yeah.
and that it's not always going to feel this way. Because I think being my first go round, I thought maybe this is how people get bitter and mean. Maybe this is how it starts. It changes everything. But I've now know, no, that is never God's plan. We do go through it. The main thing I think I would say to Matthew is you can't go around it.
Yeah.
You remember going on a bear hunt?
Yeah.
Can't
Oh yeah.
go over,
Yeah,
can't
that's
go
right.
under it.
That's right.
I think I tried to tap dance around it, hurry through it. Tried Netflix or dark chocolate or
Sure.
Amazon Prime,
Sure.
all the
Yeah. All
things
the things. Yeah.
that make life better for a minute, and they do for a minute until they don't, and then it's kind of worse. But to realize that the only and the healthiest way through these unthinkable losses is right through it, but you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
But to ask Lord, "Hey, Lord, I've got nothing today. Can you just kind of carry me through this? Can you prepare me for this event? Is it necessary to go to all these Christmas things?" And when I
Sure.
realized that it's not,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
have to do everything that is available,
Yeah.
especially in those early days of sorrow and grief and loss. I think to decide what's important. Did you ever leave a getaway car anywhere?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had several opportunities that came up, and it was oh, you know what, we need an out in this event.
Hmm.
We need the ability to get in this space and realize this is not a space for us to be in right now, and we need to
Yeah.
be able to leave.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so those are great. We had a 2-year-old at the time, so that was an easy out for us.
Yep.
And so let me touch on a few things. Beth, you just shared an
Yeah.
unbelievable amount of wisdom there. So a few things that I think stand out to me a lot
Mhm.
is thank you for referencing the book. That's very kind and generous of you to do. But the fact that this is not how you're always going to feel, right?
Right.
I think people need to hear that again. I think our
Hmm.
audience needs to hear that. If
Yeah.
you find yourself in a season of deep sorrow and grief, I'd lovingly, as Beth just lovingly tried to share, you need
Hmm.
to know you won't always feel this way.
That's right.
And it feels, at least for me, or speak for myself. I don't try to speak for other people.
Yeah.
Speak for myself and say it felt like that I couldn't have a good day because it felt like I was dishonoring and not remembering the loss that I'd experienced, right?
Yeah.
That how
Mm.
could I, as a dad who buried his son, how could I ever have a good day, right? And I had a mentor I read about in the book. I had a mentor call me who challenged me and encouraged me and said, "Hey, Matthew, this was during Noah's pregnancy before he was born.
Mm.
He said, I need you to know that it's okay when you have a good day.
Yes.
And Beth, I remember just
Mm.
absolutely weeping on the phone
Sure.
and being
Yeah.
like, no, I can't. I cannot have a good day. And that was the permission. That was just the gentle kind of hand on my shoulder to say, hey, buddy, like, no. Life is going to continue to move forward. I
Yeah.
know in this moment it is crushing, and this moment will never leave you. This experience will forever
Right.
mark you. You will always be marked by this loss, but there will be more days moving forward in your life,
Mhm.
and you're continue one day at a time, continue
Mm.
to navigate and move forward. So I love that perspective. I love that you called that out, and I just wanted to reiterate that. The
Yeah.
other thing, Beth,
Yeah.
that you talked about is the perspective of our community around us, right? The
Mm.
very first off, you said you can't do this alone, right? Hannah and I experienced that. You experienced that. People who navigate grief well do it in a community. They just do. And that's hard because grief wants to isolate you. It
Yeah.
wants to say you're the only one that's ever experienced this. You're the only one that has these feelings. These
Mhm.
feelings are you should be ashamed of the way that you're feeling, right?
Mm.
All of these things that grief lies to you about. And one of the things it does is isolates you.
That's
That
right.
isolation in and of itself is not bad, right?
Mhm.
That Jesus regularly went away by himself and spent time with his heavenly Father. Regularly, we see that pattern in Jesus's life.
Mhm.
So isolation in and of itself is not wrong,
Yeah.
but we were designed to do life in community. Like we were designed in the image of our triune God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. Like we were designed in his image to be in community. That is so crucial. And then the
Mhm.
last thing I want to double down on is the food, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a good Southern boy. I love to eat, but
Yeah.
the little things of people think like, oh, it's just so little. It's just a little thing. Like it feels like I'm being disingenuine to offer to bring food or just bringing food.
Yeah.
And you need to hear this, as you've heard me say many times on this podcast. That is a huge blessing because it's in the mental fog that is a grief journey. Little things like preparing meal plans or food or cooking for
Mm.
the rest of the family can be overwhelming on days. Some
Yeah.
days you need to cook. Some days you need to get a shower. Some days you need to get up. But also you need that additional support. And then lastly, the last thing I want to double down on is the ability to say no, right? I
Mhm.
I do not do that well. And it sounds like you don't either, Beth.
Nope.
and
Mm-mm.
and and I think that that's a gift that we need to give other people in their grief journey is to say like it's okay when you don't respond to the text message or the
Yes.
email or the phone call. It's okay when you RSVP'd to this event that you were going to be there and you don't want to show up. Like
Mhm.
that that's okay.
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now let's not stay there forever, right?
That's it.
Like
Yeah.
let's not just allow ourselves to be the excuse that it's year after year after year after year that we get more and more isolated. But in the season of what our body needs in this moment, okay, I need to get out. I need the escape car. Like I got to be able to
Yes.
get out of this vent. This is not great for me. But then also I'm going to continue to challenge myself to have the difficult conversations like your daughter had with you of like, hey, you know,
Yes.
we need to shower and showering's a good thing. And getting
Yeah.
up and dressing up is a good thing. And getting
Yeah.
up and going to Wilson's is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like getting outside, seeing God's creation, seeing other people, seeing that life is continuing to move forward. As hard as it is, it's also a good thing to be able to see.
That's exactly right. Man, that just for the first time starting to want to do some things to me was a little sign. I can remember asking the Lord, show me some glimmers of hope
I
that
love
things are
that.
going to get better.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I saw was when you want to be part of things again and you look forward to events or being around people.
Yeah, that's a great
And
point.
I've got to tell you one thing. There was a precious girl in our town in South Carolina when we lived there,
Okay.
and she had lost her dad. Her name is Lizzie. And she was just this brilliant kid. She just seemed to know stuff the rest of us didn't know. And after she lost her dad, I tried to just come pick her up sometimes, and we would go get ice cream and a Diet Coke.
Okay.
So that balances, right? That it's
Yeah,
all
of course
about
it does.
balance.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's definitely
All
balanced. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right. Okay. I just wanted to be sure that
No,
was
it
all right.
definitely balances. Yeah.
And she just she was such a sweet girl, and she was, I think, 11 when her dad passed away.
Okay.
And it was a couple years later. I said, Lizzie, it seems like you're just doing pretty amazingly well this week or right now. I said, what do you think it looks like when you have healed, when you're healing through something really hard, like what you guys went through losing your dad? She said, Miss Beth, I think I know. I think that's when, instead of when you're at school and you hear of something sad, in the beginning, all I wanted to do was run away and not be near that person. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And now when I hear somebody's lost a grandparent or something hard has happened, I feel like running toward them. I
What a
want to be
great distinction.
them.
Wow.
It was so brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think her words made it in Uncrushed, because she said, when you want to help somebody, instead of running from the sorrow, to me, that's how you know you're healing.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, I wish I had known that now, not just when I was your age.
Yeah,
But
that is profound.
that there is hope, that it's not going to always be that way. And the one more thing, when you mentioned the isolation, to me, that is when the enemy likes to step in and start to tell you, nah, you're going to always be this way.
Yeah.
And I think when we can get around people who know the truth, who have been through hard things, and can speak to us, no, girl, this is not you.
Yeah.
No, Matthew, this is, even this many years out for you, it's still going to get better, and you're going to help more and more people.
Yeah.
And I would love for us to say that to someone who's grieving right now. It is not going to always feel like this.
Yeah. What an unbelievable way for us to end, Beth. I could speak to you all day, and I appreciate your time. You've been a cherished new friend of mine, and I want to make sure. So you've got a great website. You've got incredible resources. You've got a lot of writing out on the Bible app, on different platforms. Please don't give her a cell phone number. How do people get connected to you? How do they follow along?
Yeah.
How do they get your resources? Please tell us how we stay connected.
The best way is BethGMarshall, 2Ls.com, BethGMarshall.com. And that has links to everything. I try to put some funny stuff, some real encouraging things, funny pictures. It is not all serious.
I love
It's
that.
kind of nuggets of encouragement for people, not just who've been through loss, but just been through hard things.
Yeah.
And I think since the year, 2020, we've all been through some hard things, especially you guys. But
We have all been through
that's
some
the
hard
best
things for
place.
sure.
Yep. And then on YouVersion, the Bible app, if you just type in my name, several plans will come up. And those are, there's a 8-day one, there's a 30-day one, but it's a simple way to just dip your toe in and see if this kind of writing is something that might help you. And I encourage people to get a journal and to write along with it. But those are the main ways. Also, Amazon, all the book places you can find Uncrushed.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'll make sure, Beth, that all those resources are there and listed for our folks. And if somebody wants you to come speak at their event, right? We have folks all over the country that listen to this. If they've got an event that they're looking for a speaker with your expertise, can they find that information on your website as well?
The link right on the website. Yeah, but thank you for that.
Wonderful.
Matthew, before we close, can I just show a really cool book to your people?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this came in the mail about 5 days ago, and I'm reading through it, and it's one of the most treasured books, because it, even on page 1, the reader can feel the hope.
Wow.
And that this is not going to be a big, bad, sad book. And it's not, which it could have been.
Sure.
With your story. But I just want to tell people, if you haven't gotten a hold of Matthew's book, which is Even Though We Will, do that. Because no matter what kind of a life, what's going on, it's a book of hope, and it's a book of healing. And Beth, so that is an unpaid.
You're very kind. Yeah, that was not paid. That makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But thank you very much. Yeah. You're incredibly kind, and I appreciate your continued encouragement, and the way that you're honoring our son is really, really special. And I appreciate that a lot. I look forward to meeting your mom one day. And I
Oh,
appreciate the way that her story impacted you so much, and the
the
way that you
same with
continue
Noah.
to
Yeah.
share your story with others, right? And just as we kind of close, just the encouragement for everybody is listen to this. You have a story, and your story matters, and you matter to God. And God intimately loves you, not because you deserve it, but because he loves you. You didn't earn that, you don't deserve that, but he loves you. And your story
Oh,
matters, and your story will help other people. So go out, share your story, come on a podcast, write a book, whatever that looks like. Share your story. Beth, you're amazing. Thank you for sharing.
you're
We'll
amazing.
make sure all
Thank you so
the
much.
notes are there. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for pulling up a seat at the family table. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Mavericks. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to take your own adventure to the next level. Don't forget to follow the show to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share it with others who could benefit. And hey, if you know a market maverick who has a story that needs to be heard, please drop their name in the comments. We would love to bring their insights to the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and leading with purpose.